So what are some of the approaches that the districts are using to deal and to help and to support teachers who are teaching students that come from, as you said, as many as 80 different countries?
Well, we've got 4 predominant programs that our English language learners usually participate in. One program is what we call dual language, where we focus on developing language proficiency as well as academic proficiency in 2 languages. And most often those languages include Spanish or English. We are seeing quite a few programs across the country that now include Chinese and English, or in some cases French and English. Now, dual language programs have continued to show the biggest gains when it comes to language proficiency and academic achievement. But again, the challenge is those aren't the 3 primary languages that we're necessarily seeing as the focus other than English across the country. We have some schools that have had a huge influx of Arabic-speaking students. We don't have many teachers that speak Arabic as a first language. So the resources and the teacher preparation is a huge struggle in the program that we know shows the biggest gains.
So when you say dual language, what's the approach there?
What we do is we start children from as early as kindergarten, and usually the earlier the better, and we focus in on teaching both languages throughout the day. We want to see, oftentimes, if we can, a 50-50 split. So for instance, in my first grade classroom, I taught half my day in Spanish and half my day in English. Most of the time we see that English is developed during the language arts period of the day, during the reading and the writing portion of the day, and usually the Spanish being science and social studies and sometimes mathematics. And part of why we do that is that those subject areas, math and science specifically, really lend themselves nicely to teaching the language as a second language. They're very contextualized. They're very hands-on, so it makes the acquisition of that second language oftentimes much easier for children. So usually that's the language that we teach in Spanish. We have some states that what they'll do is they'll actually focus in a lot of time on the majority, the language that is the majority of the classroom. So in Arizona specifically, in classrooms where you see English language learners in dual language programs, the classroom is usually filled more so with children who speak Spanish as a first language versus children who speak English as a first language. So in those classrooms we might have a 60-40 split, so that we develop a lot of literacy in their primary language, which is Spanish, and then start on the literacy development of English, which would just sometimes be a little bit less of the time. And as they move up the grade levels, we'll increase the English and maybe drop down a little bit in Spanish.
Now, according to the research, that's the most effective strategy or program to use. However, is that the most commonly used across the United States?
Unfortunately, it is not. And again, it goes back to teacher preparation, the amount of teachers that we have that are actually bilingual themselves and biliterate, because you can not only be bilingual in a dual language program, but you have to have biliteracy in the languages that are the focus. So no, it's what we're seeing the least amount of, unfortunately, because it gives us the greatest results.